What did Payne Stewart say to you after one putting the last 3 holes to beat you by a shot at the 99 Open at Pinehurst?
He grabbed my face and said, "Phil, you're about to become a father, and it's the greatest thing." And I thought that it was pretty impressive that when he had just won the biggest tournament in golf, that he would be thinking about what I was going through. I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you believe at all in this business about fate playing a hand in his winning that championship before he died?
I certainly do. At the time, I was very disappointed, but given the circumstances that took place thereafter, I think that the outcome was the way it should have been.
When you think of him now, what do you think about?
Well, it's funny. The one thing that comes to my mind was the last time I saw him was at the 99 Ryder Cup, and he was on top of a piano Sunday night celebrating with a beer in one hand, cigar in the other, and he had these wild sweats on, and he was just dancing on the piano. And we have a picture of that in our house, and that's the way I think of him, because he was a very free spirit.
Every time I see you with your wife, Amy, it looks like it's the day that you've just fell in love. What's the secret, in your view, of keeping your relationship apparently as wonderful as it seems to us as we look at how happy the two of you are when we see you together?
We both have high expectations of each other, and I have a wonderful, wonderful person. And when I look at my wife, I just think about how lucky I am to share all the experiences that we have gone through together. And certainly the birth of our daughter was the most emotional experience that we have ever had. But the reason I think our relationship is so successful is because we accept each other for the way we are. We don't try to change each other, and we challenge each other each day to become better people. She makes me a better person when I'm around her, and we really have gone through life enjoying every experience together, and it's been marriage has been the most wonderful institution that I've been a part of.
What kind of player do you suppose your brother Tim is going to turn out to be?
That's an interesting question. I think that he has a lot of talent because he has very good touch and feel, and he hits the ball a long ways. And so I think that the refinement of bringing the misses in tighter can certainly be done. I've had to go through it. I know it can be done. And he has the assets that not many players have, which is length and a great short game.
So he has essentially the same gifts that you feel that you've had?
I believe so. I think that he just needs to continue to work to improve and continue to get his misses reduced, and I think he's going to be a good player.
What's your golf relationship and your friendship like with him?
We get along really well, and I really enjoy his company. And we're very competitive in everything that we do, and he's been a wonderful brother. And I think that he's been in a very difficult situation, as has my sister been, in that they've had a sibling that's been somewhat successful, and it's been difficult for them because a lot of people that they meet ask them about me, and that's tough to be at, a situation to be in. And I think that they've handled it very well, and I'm very proud to be or to have Tim and Tina as my brother and sister.
Part of your on-course partnership has been your relationship with Jim Mackay. I think people don't know much about him, don't understand the nature of the relationship, or why it's so important to the success you've had.
I honestly feel as though I've got the best caddy on tour, because he's much more than that. He's a good friend of mine, and also if you look at solely his job requirement, he's never been late in the 9 years we've been together, and he's been with me since my first tour event. He's a very intelligent individual. He knows a lot of things about a lot of things. He knows everything about a lot of things. He's very intelligent. We call him the king of useless information because he'll come up with things that nobody would ever think or care about. He's very good at yardages, meaning when we've played in tournaments for the past 8 or 9 years, he writes down what I have hit, each club that I've hit, how far I had, what the temperature was like, what the wind condition was like, and how far the ball carried and ended up. Now, that's a lot of information, and over 9 years playing 5 rounds of the Pro-Am and 4 competitive days, that's 45 shots that I've hit on each hole that we have documented that he has done. So when we go to tournaments like Denver at the International, which is the hardest course to pull clubs on because of the altitude, we have a huge advantage, and consequently I've done very well there due directly to him. We've got the final putt from last year's Colonial. I thought maybe you could tell us about it as we show it going to break. Well, it went in, and that part we knew. This was a critical putt because at the time I was still a shot or two back of Stewart sink, and just turns a little left to right there in the end, and I gave it a little fist pump because I was a little excited about that. That was a cool tournament. I was 7 back with 9 to go. I couldn't believe I had a shot at winning.
And a little 63 to close it out.
I'll take it.
We'll be right back. So the other night when you walked in the studio, you told me that I wasn't as heavy as I usually was, and I told you, you look pretty good, and you said, no, I'm pretty heavy. And so I was thinking today, well, what kind of commitment to fitness are you considering at this point?
Well, surprisingly, I've been working out pretty steadily. I know it doesn't show. I have been hitting all-time highs, which sucks. But the last few weeks, I've been working out pretty religiously, 5 or 6 times a week. And it's not because I feel like it's going to help my game or anything. It's just because I feel like I feel better about myself when I work out, whether it's cardiovascular or lifting weights. I enjoy doing both. I'll only lift at night, though. I won't lift before I play. And I feel like it will elongate my career, possibly prevent injury, but also I started thinking, you know, I want to be in good health so that when I'm 60, 65, 70, I'll still be able to enjoy my children's lives and watch them grow and develop. And I think that each parent really feels the need to be around and wants to be around to enjoy their growth and development. And so that's another big reason why I've been working out a little bit more.
What's your eating weakness? What do you love that you have too much of, or do you eat late at night?
Well, I'm on a very strict diet that a doctor put me on. He said that I can eat whatever I want, but I just can't swallow it. And so the swallowing part has been killing me because it just seems to follow right on down. But I like all foods, and it's just tough for me to eat a salad without dressing or a chicken plain. It's not going to happen.
Because you can eat whatever you want on this new special diet. Let's check in with Mark, who's here in Florida. Go ahead, Mark.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi,
How are
Mark.
you, sir?
Hi. Phil, earlier this year, USA Today had a story regarding, it was their big golf issue, and they said, they didn't quote you directly, but they had a statement about tournaments held opposite the more elite tournaments, such as Tucson and Mercedes, and they said that you question the need to have such tournaments, and I was wondering if that was an accurate statement, or if not, what kind of context was that in?
It's pretty close. I certainly feel that when we have conflicting events, we're diluting the product that we present to the public. Just like expansion baseball, expansion football, we have to create more jobs to fill those spots, and the jobs that we use to create those are less than the top players, and we're not giving the public the strongest product that we can present. And ultimately what happened was 3 years ago when we came out with the World Golf Championships, we had 8 tournaments where every one of the top 64 players in the world played in, and it was awesome. We had the 4 majors in the Players Championship, 5 tournaments, and everybody played the World Golf Championships. But what happened was we had these conflicting events that the purses were much smaller, and we had all the players on tour say, that's not right, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you're going to make more money, and the same guys will keep repeating. And so what we did was we took some excess revenue that the tour had created and supplemented it into those tournaments, building up those purses. And so now all the other tournaments have pretty much caught up with the World Golf Championship. They're all between $3.5 and $4.5 million. And so players no longer feel the need to play the World Golf Championship. So now instead of having 8 tournaments that all the top players play in, we have 5 again. And I just think that had we taken the money that we had put into those conflicting events and put it to keep the World Golf Championships ahead of the field purse-wise, we would still have 8 tournaments where we presented the best players to the public.
Speaking of presenting the best players, is Nicklaus going to have a problem getting the best team together for the President's Cup to go down to South Africa next year?
That's a good question. I don't think we will know that until about a month or 2 beforehand, because certainly a lot can happen over the course of the year, and right now a lot of people are just thinking about the Ryder Cup. Let's go over to the Belfry and see if we can retain that cup. And so not too many people are really looking a year and a half advance all the way down to the President's Cup in South Africa. So that's a tough question to answer right now.
Who are your heroes that have nothing to do with golf?
Well, I respect a lot of people, and I respect people that have, I love the story. It can be from a CEO of a company, like that has a great story. I don't really want to mention names, but that come from very difficult backgrounds, or it could be just somebody like my dad. And my dad has overcome a lot and has done a lot and is very good at everything that he does. And so I respect him as an individual. In fact, I've learned a lot from him. I've learned from my mom. I've gotten my sense of humor. I'm very similar to her in that regard, but I'm very similar to my dad in my thought process and decision making. And I think that I respect the way he goes about things, in that he analyzes a situation, gathers as much information as he can before he formulates a decision.
What do they say to you about what they think you've become as a man, as a father, as a husband, as an athlete?
Well, I think it's very difficult from a parent's point of view to let their child out on their own. And it certainly started in college. It starts in college for most families, but it's still, you're always their baby. And just like Amanda will always be my daughter, she could be 35, 30 years old, she'll still be my baby. And so my parents look at me like that, and I think that it's been tough for them to watch me go out and just be on my own. But I think that I think they're more excited about Amy and Amanda than they are about anything that I've ever done in golf, which is great, because that's what is so fulfilling about life, is the family and the relationships that we have.
We'll be right back. As we leave, we've got a little shot from the '99 Ryder Cup.
This was a cool shot, a little wedge here on 10, and Tom Lehman comes over and gives me the biggest bear hug. And then this is where I knew I was heavy, because he said, "You weigh a heck of a lot more than Corey Payne."
Even with that short haircut.
Look at that, he got me up, but he said it was tough.
And he's a big bear. We'll be right back. How are you, Darryl, in Pennsylvania? Darryl?
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Phil. By the way, congratulations on playing a good tournament.
Thank you.
This past weekend. I just wanted to know if you could just talk a little bit about the San Diego incident, the Buick Invitational, when the ball was lost and everything.
Sure. What happened was when both Frank and I approached our balls, they had already found Frank's, but they had not found mine. And so I told the rules official, Mark Russell, I am not looking for my ball right now, because that would mean that my 5 minutes would already start. I wanted to wait to see what Frank was going to do, if he was going to have to go back to the tee or what. So when he decided to go back to the tee, that's when I wanted to abandon my ball and just play my provisional that I already hit. And the gentleman that found it felt awful, and he was doing me a favor, or so he thought, and it was just a fluke thing that he ended up finding it. So I think that.
Did I not ask him to get out of there?
Well, I was a little heated there. I probably shouldn't have said that, but
Nobody go down there?
yeah, there I go again. I was a little upset at the time, certainly, but it was. It showed the fact that when I went back and hit a provisional, I knocked it in the trees again, and I could have easily lost the tournament right there again, and as opposed to being able to hit the ball that was already in the fairway. But that was just knowing the rules, and unfortunately I didn't see him down there, and he didn't hear me.
But you said to the shot that you hit, the second tee shot, spit it out, because you can't talk to a hook, but you can talk to a block, right?
Apparently a fatal listen, because that one did, and that one came right back out. It wasn't the best lie. I was in the rough, and I was able to knock it on and force Frank to get up and down from the fairway to beat me.
Let's check in with Mark Rolfing, NBC Sports' Mark Rolfing, who doesn't get enough of you on the
Mark,
golf course.
What's going on?
Hello, Peter and Phil.
Hello, Mark.
I was out there yesterday, Phil, as you know, and that was one of the best final rounds I think I've ever seen. And you guys have been up there talking about fate, even fate at San Diego, and certainly the fate at Pinehurst was something we'll never forget. But when you look now at the tape of what Tiger did, the big putt at 14, snapping it at 16, and then hitting a tee shot at 18, I mean, how do you feel about the way you played and the end result?
Well, I'm pleased with the way I played, and the difficult thing about that is that I played two groups in front of him, and so he had 2 holes left to play. And when you give a player like Tiger a chance to know what he has to do, he normally does it. And so it was tough, because 17 and 18 were playing very difficult, and I certainly wanted him to have to make birdie on 17 and 18 to win, but it was difficult for me to get aggressive. I didn't feel like I could on 17. I was just trying to make 3 there. I felt 18 provided me the best opportunity, and after that drive, you saw I didn't have a chance. And so that was what was difficult, was having to be 2 groups in front of him. I would have loved to have been able to play with him and know what I had to do as well. But I don't walk away from yesterday feeling disappointed, because I shot the number I felt I needed to. I played well, and I didn't make any mistakes, didn't make a single bogey, and so I was certainly pleased with that.
And not all the breaks that the other fellow's going to get are going to be bad breaks.
That's true, and I think that even though he made some poor swings, for him, he was able to do what he needed to do to win, and that's the toughest thing. That's how you compete. That's not having to be everything going along the way you want. It's just finding a way to win, and he did that.
We'll be back in just a moment. And as we leave you, just want to make sure you're familiar with our website. Log on to thegolfchannel.com. Check out the Golf Talk Live section. You can see the things that you can do when you find it on our website. Check out the rest of the website as well for articles, updated scores, and everything golf, thegolfchannel.com. From the great scoring that's going on around the world, and specifically on the PGA Tour today, you would think that the courses are being set up easier than they've ever been. But if you compare them to 5 years ago, they're significantly more difficult in terms of the setup, are they not?
I really think that they are, and that we're making greens much more much firmer. And Bay Hill is a perfect example. They installed a suction device that sucks the moisture out of the greens. So we get all this rain, and the greens are just rock hard. It's very difficult to get the ball close on Sunday, as we saw balls just racing across the green, and it's because they were so firm. And that's the easiest way to get scores to go up, that and rough.
Are there any thoughts about the way in which the U.S. team conducted themselves at the Ryder Cup in '99, and that one needs to have an adjustment in either attitude or in the way in which one outwardly presents themselves this go-around?
Well, certainly we can talk about what happened on 17 green, and it was a show of emotion. And we saw that from every player on every day of every match throughout the entire week. And this wasn't the only show of emotion that took on that occurred that week. I don't think that it was the best thing that we could have done, but on the other hand, I don't think that it would be any different either way. I mean, I would expect them to be excited had they won, just as they were in '95 and '97. My match wasn't done on 18 when they were jumping on the green. Granted, I closed them out on 17. But that's really not, it doesn't matter. They won the thing, it was over, although it wasn't over when we won. There was still a putt to be made, and so I think we were in the wrong there. And I think that what's disappointing to me is that 60 some odd years ago, when this event was instilled, it was to promote the game of golf and promote sportsmanship amongst both continents, and it really is no longer that. It creates a lot of animosity, and I think that I'd like to see it get back to the way it was.
But with Curtis Strange as captain, who's a no-nonsense, intensely competitive guy, you wouldn't expect there to be too much let's be nice to everybody kind of a flavor. I don't mean rude, but I'm talking about intensely competitive feelings.
Well, he is a tough competitor, and he won 2 at U.S. Opens, and he's there to compete, and he's there to win, as all the players are, and that's really the way it's become. Now, if you look at it, the European team has won 5 of the last 7 Ryder Cups. They've been really doing well, and I would like to think that it's about to change, that we've got some good young American players coming up, but they have some good young players too, and so I think that the state of the Ryder Cup's in a great state. But this year will be very competitive at the Belfry, especially given the fact that the way not only the players but the fans were in the U.S., it'll be a difficult one coming up. But I think we're all looking forward to it. And both sides, as tough as a competitor as Captain Strange is, and as much as both sides want to win, I really think we're going to make an effort this year to promote the game in a very positive manner and not have some outbursts like that.
When your scorecard goes on a roller coaster ride like it did in the middle 2 rounds of this past week at Bay Hill, do your emotions go on a roller coaster ride too?
They do, and it's very difficult to control it. I try not to display too much emotion on the course because I just don't think it looks good either way. I don't think getting too excited looks great, and I don't think that breaking a club looks very good either. But when I'm making 7 bogeys and I'm trying to win a golf tournament doing that, it's very frustrating because I expect a lot more out of myself. I've been working hard, and I know that I can do a lot better. And to make poor decisions, to make poor swings like that is very frustrating to all players. And I tried to stay calm and handle it. And I think I did a pretty good job because ultimately I was able to turn it around and get back in contention and almost win.
The goals that you set for yourself, very briefly, are they event-driven or are they about you're just getting better?
They have to be about just getting better and about working at integral parts of my game, meaning this year I'm working a lot on wedge play because that 60 to 150 yard area is critical. And if I can improve on that, the events will come just like they did last year. Last year I worked a lot of hours from 150 yards in, and I was able to win 4 tournaments because I scored better.
Great pleasure to spend another hour with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing Amy. And great to see the picture of the family.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Great to have you here. Good night, everybody.